Jimin makes a shocking sacrifice for Taehyung that enrages Jungkook, until a devastating truth turns their world upside down in the most unexpected way. "You weren't supposed to be here, Jungkook." The whisper echoed like a gunshot through the glass-paneled room, silencing the distant hum of Seoul's midnight rain. Blood smeared the ivory floor like a signature scrawled in panic. Jimin stood frozen, hands trembling, his pale skin stark against the crimson stain that pooled beneath the unconscious figure lying behind him, Taehyung. Jungkook's breath caught in his throat. His fists clenched, the icy handle of the door still in his grip, as he took one step into the room, his boots echoing sharply against the tiles. The air smelled of iron and antiseptic. His eyes flickered from Jimin's shaking form to Taehyung's motionless body. A broken wineglass lay beside them, jagged edges glittering like silent witnesses to whatever had just happened. "What did you do?" Jungkook's voice was low, too calm, too dangerous. Jimin turned slowly, and Jungkook could finally see his face, pale, wet with sweat and tears, his lip bleeding, a purple bruise blooming under one eye. "I had to," Jimin whispered, his voice cracking like splintered glass. "I didn't have a choice." There was a pause, a beat in the universe that stretched just long enough to feel wrong. Taehyung stirred slightly, his fingers twitched. Jungkook took another step, confusion warring with fury in his eyes. "You had to drug him." Jimin flinched. "No, it wasn't like that. He found something about the project, about what they're doing to us. He was going to tell the press. I tried to stop him, but someone else was here first." "Who?" Jungkook's tone darkened. "Tell me right now, Jimin, who the hell touched him?" Jimin looked away. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, low and growling like a beast waking from sleep. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Taehyung moaned softly, his eyelids fluttering. Jungkook rushed forward, dropping to his knees beside him, shaking him gently. "Hyung, it's me. It's Jungkook. Look at me. What happened?" But Taehyung didn't speak. His gaze flicked to Jimin, and something passed between them, something ancient and desperate. Jungkook saw it. "Wait," his voice was quieter now. "What aren't you telling me?" Jimin swallowed hard, and when he finally spoke, his voice was hollow. It wasn't a drug, it was an inhibitor. Jungkook froze. "You used that on him." "I had no choice," Jimin shouted suddenly, the words breaking free like a dam bursting. "He would have died, don't you get it? They were watching him. He hacked into their server, he was tracked within minutes. I saw the red light on his door, I had to act before they got here." "By shutting down his brain," Jungkook snapped. Jimin crumbled to the floor, burying his face in his hands. His voice was a hoarse whisper. "I slowed it. I slowed the neural burn. That's all I could do." Silence again. Outside, a black car passed slowly by the gate, too slowly. Jungkook's eyes flicked to the window, then to the small injection device lying near Taehyung's hand. He picked it up carefully, recognizing the custom serial code etched into the metal, military grade. Unauthorized possession meant prison, or worse. "How long until they trace this?" he asked quietly. Jimin's answer was immediate. "They already have." And then it clicked. The cameras were off, the floor wiped, the back exit pried open. Jimin had done this before Jungkook even walked in. "You were going to run," Jungkook said, the words heavy with betrayal. Jimin looked up, defeated. "No, I was going to stay with him until they came, take the fall. It would have bought you both time." Jungkook stared at him. This man who was his brother in everything but blood, this liar, this savior, this idiot. Taehyung groaned again, louder this time. His breathing was shallow but steady. "I'm not letting them take him," Jungkook said, steel in his voice. Jimin's lip trembled. "Then you'll have to help me finish what he started." Outside, another clap of thunder cracked the sky, followed by the blinding white strobe of lightning. Somewhere in the shadows of the night, something darker stirred, something that knew what Taehyung had discovered, and it was coming for all three of them. "I hope you're ready to burn everything down." Jimin muttered, pulling his hoodie over his head as the warehouse lights blinked off behind them. I was born ready, Jungkook snapped, one arm still holding Taehyung's semi-conscious body upright. What I wasn't ready for was you injecting him with something that could have turned him into a vegetable. Don't you dare, Jimin shot back, turning sharply, his eyes flashing with something between guilt and fury. Don't you dare act like you would have done anything different if you'd known what I did. I saved him. Did you? Jungkook's voice cut like a blade. Because right now it looks like he's not even here. Look at him. Taehyung's eyes were open, but glassy, unfocused, as if he was trapped halfway between dreaming and death. He's still in there, Jimin said, quieter now. I know he is, but we have less than 4 hours before the scan locks his memory matrix permanently. If we don't find a way to reverse the inhibitor, they'll have wiped everything he knows. Jungkook stopped in his tracks. Wait, they can access his mind. Jimin didn't answer right away. The silence was the answer. Jungkook shoved him. Hard. Jimin stumbled back, almost slipping in the rain-soaked alley. You knew this was bigger than us, and you still dragged him in. Jimin's laugh was short, bitter, broken. He dragged me in. You think I wanted any of this? You think I was ready to find out that everything we trained for, everything we believed, was a goddamn lie? You should have told me. Jungkook's voice was raw now, tinged with betrayal deeper than rage. You should have trusted me. I did, that's why I let you walk away before they noticed you. Jimin stepped closer. I lied to them to protect you. I took the hit, but Taehyung, he couldn't stop digging. There was a moment between them, not forgiveness, just fatigue, mutual destruction in slow motion. They reached the underground lab beneath the defunct subway station, the place Taehyung had nicknamed the Hollow, a place that didn't exist on any map. The scanner recognized Jimin's retinal pattern and hissed open. Inside, the temperature dropped sharply. Metal walls, scattered monitors, blinking lights. Lay him there, Jimin gestured to the table at the center. I'll start the neurosync. If he's lucky, I can keep the core pathways from collapsing. Jungkook hesitated. What happens if he's not lucky? Then we lose him, and everything he knows. As Jimin worked, Jungkook paced, his mind racing. What exactly did he find? He finally asked. Jimin didn't look up. Something called Protocol Elysium. He said it was buried in the Defense Ministry's off-grid archives, hidden under humanitarian relief budgets. But the files were sealed with biometric encryption, top-tier military access. Elysium, Jungkook frowned. Wasn't that the code name for the memory project? Not just memory, Jimin's voice dropped. It's worse, much worse. A sudden beep cut the air. Taehyung twitched, then screamed. Jimin dropped the instrument in his hand and lunged forward. He's waking up. Jungkook, help me stabilize the feed. Taehyung's back arched violently, eyes wide with terror. They're watching. Jimin, get out now. Jungkook grabbed his arm. It's us, you're safe. But Taehyung wasn't looking at them. He was looking through them. They killed everyone, he whispered, eyes glazed with horror. There were children. They used them as test models. The injections, they weren't to cure, they were to erase. They're building perfect soldiers, empty minds, fully programmable. Jimin froze. Jungkook stared at him. You knew. I suspected, Jimin whispered, but I didn't know the scale. Taehyung's hand clutched Jungkook's wrist with sudden strength. They're going to come for you, Kook. They know you're here. You were in the footage. They tagged your face. Then we run, Jungkook said without hesitation. No, Taehyung's voice was chillingly calm now. You expose them. Outside, tires screeched. Jimin's head snapped up. Shit, they're early. A wall panel lit up red. Unauthorized access. Jungkook reached behind a cabinet and pulled out a black duffel bag. Guns, data drives, flash bombs. He threw one to Jimin. How many exits? 3, 2 already breached. Taehyung was sitting now, sweat running down his temple. They won't kill you, not yet. They want to know what I told you. Then we don't give them the chance. Jimin handed Taehyung a data chip. This is everything, all his files. Backups too. It's encrypted with your voice, Jungkook. Only you can unlock it. Taehyung grabbed Jungkook's collar, dragging his face close. Don't trust anyone, not Namjoon, not Hoseok, not even Seokjin. One of them is compromised. What? Jungkook's blood turned to ice. You're saying someone on the inside. But the reinforced door blasted open before Taehyung could answer. Gas poured in, thick white choking. Move, Jimin screamed, pulling a mask over his face and throwing another to Jungkook. Gunfire. Flashbang. Screams in the dark. And then silence. When Jungkook came to, his ears were ringing. Blood was dripping from a cut on his temple. The lab was in ruins. Jimin, he called hoarsely. No answer. Taehyung. Nothing. Then he saw the broken monitor still blinking. A video feed. A shadowed figure in a government uniform stared directly into the lens. You should have stayed in your cage, Jungkook, the man said. Now you've seen too much. And the feed cut to black. Code black. Wake up. The voice sliced through the fog in Jungkook's head like a scalpel. Cold, unfamiliar male. I said wake up, soldier. His eyes snapped open. Fluorescent lights buzzed above him. The room was sterile, windowless, humming with faint mechanical breathing. His wrists were strapped to a cold metal chair. Blood had dried at his hairline. His left eye throbbed. He wasn't alone. A man stood across the room, hands behind his back, flanked by two operatives in black exosuits, faces masked, guns visible, tension palpable. The man in the center stepped forward, military boots clicking against the tile. His uniform was crisp. His face was smooth, calculated, the kind of face that had practiced smiling in mirrors without ever meaning it. Jian Jungkook, or do you prefer subject K97? Jungkook didn't answer, he simply stared. The man chuckled softly. Nothing to say, not even after that little stunt in the hollow. Jungkook tilted his head. Where Taehyung? Alive for now. A flash of rage. Jungkook strained against the restraints, muscles flexing. One of the guards raised his weapon instinctively. Easy, the man said without looking. Let the dog bark. It's part of the illusion of control. You're going to wish you killed me, Jungkook hissed. On the contrary, the man said, walking to a terminal and tapping in a code. A screen lit up, video footage flickered to life. The hollow. Jimin, Taehyung, the injector. You've become very useful. He pressed a key. A still image came into focus. Namjoon, standing in what looked like a military conference room, shaking hands with the same man now in front of Jungkook. Jungkook's stomach dropped. What the hell is this? A contract, the man said simply. Signed in silence, paid in blood. That's not possible. Namjoon would never. Wouldn't he? The man smirked. Let me guess. He told you he was working on reform, that he was trying to change the system from within. He leaned down, face inches from Jungkook's. There is no inside, Jungkook. There is only the machine. You're either fuel or you're fire. Jungkook stared at the screen, betrayal twisting in his gut. If Namjoon had been compromised, then everything, the mission, the resistance, their years of trust, was a lie. And Seokjin, Jungkook asked slowly. The man straightened, still deciding which side pays more. And Hoseok. The man paused. A flicker of something unreadable passed across his eyes. Missing. Jungkook's pulse spiked. That was worse than dead. In this world, missing meant off-grid, dangerous, uncontrolled, and that made Hoseok a liability or a wild card. I want to see Taehyung, Jungkook said. Not yet. The man walked over to a wall and pressed a button. A panel opened, revealing a glass chamber. Inside it was Jimin, unconscious, suspended in a clear fluid. His body was covered in neural nodes. Tubes ran in and out of his arms, chest, and neck. His eyes twitched under closed lids. "What are you doing to him?" Jungkook shouted. "Downloading," the man said. "Everything he knows, every memory, every classified byte, every moment of guilt." "That's torture." "No, that's technology." He turned back to Jungkook, his expression hardening. "You have two options, Subject K97. Join us. Work as a double inside what's left of your pathetic resistance. Or, we rip you apart piece by piece, the same way we're doing with him. And then we wipe you clean, turn you into what you were bred to be." Jungkook spat at his feet. The man didn't flinch. "Wrong answer." He nodded. The guards moved in. But just as they reached him, the lights flickered, once, twice, then shut down completely. The room plunged into darkness. A high-pitched frequency screamed through the air, sharp and mechanical, followed by a shattering boom from somewhere above. Gunfire erupted outside the room. Screamed shouts. Then silence. The emergency red lights flicked on. The glass chamber housing Jimin shattered from the inside. He was awake. Eyes wide, gasping for air, blood seeping from the corners of his mouth. Jungkook ripped against his restraints, but they snapped open on their own. Hoseok stepped from the shadows, holding a modified control panel and a silenced pistol. "Time up," he said calmly. "Hobai," Jungkook blinked. "How the hell?" "Later." He tossed a spare gun to Jungkook and shot the two guards before they could stand. Precise, efficient. The man in the uniform was already trying to run. Jimin stood in his path, bleeding, furious. "You took everything from me," Jimin said hoarsely. The man reached for a weapon. Jungkook raised his gun. A shot rang out. But it was Jungkook who fired. It was Jimin. A single, brutal bullet through the man's chest. The silence afterward was absolute. Hoseok grabbed the keycard from the dying man's hand and moved to the next chamber. "Taehyung's 2 floors down," he said. "They've already started the wipe." "We're not too late," Jungkook said. They ran through the blood-streaked corridors, alarms blaring around them. Jimin stumbled, falling against the wall. Jungkook caught him. "You shouldn't be awake yet," he said. "I shouldn't be alive," Jimin rasped. "But I have to tell you something before we find Taehyung." "Tell me in the elevator." "No, now." Jimin grabbed his wrist, his grip weak but desperate. It wasn't just data he found. It wasn't just programs. It was a list. "What list?" Jimin looked him dead in the eye. "Names of everyone marked for erasure. Everyone who questioned the protocols, and yours was at the top." The elevator doors opened. Inside, Taehyung's voice echoed from a speaker, flat and robotic. "Welcome, Subject K97. Final calibration commencing in 3 minutes." Jungkook raised his gun. Jimin steadied himself. Hoseok reloaded. The 3 of them stepped in together. They were out of time. The memory room. The elevator jolted as it descended, metal groaning under the pressure. Red emergency lights strobed inside, bathing the 3 of them in a surreal glow. Jungkook's knuckles white around his gun, Jimin's jaw clenched in pain and purpose, Hoseok silent, his eyes scanning the readout above the doors. "Final calibration commencing," the AI repeated, Taehyung's voice still distorted through the mechanical filter. Cold, hollow. Jungkook's heart pounded. Why does it sound like him? "Because it is him," Jimin muttered. "They used his cognitive imprint to train the AI that monitors subject control. That means they've already started the soul fracture process." Hoseok looked over. "How long do we have before he's gone?" Jimin checked the cracked tablet in his hand. "Under 4 minutes." Then we go in loud, Jungkook growled. The elevator doors opened with a hiss, and all hell broke loose. A squad of operatives stood outside, weapons raised. The hallway was pure metal, filled with fog and the faint pulse of electrical current. Before they could even yell orders, Hoseok stepped forward, threw a shock grenade into the crowd and ducked back. A blinding flash. Screams. Gunfire erupted. Jimin ducked low, dragging himself along the wall while Jungkook surged forward, bullets slicing the air around him. 2 shots, center mass. A guard dropped. Another lunged at him with a blade, but Jungkook parried with brutal force, slamming the man into the wall until blood streaked the panels. Behind him, Jimin hacked into the control pad on the door marked M09. Subject containment. It's locked with biometric override, he yelled. Hoseok knelt beside him, breathing hard. Then burn it. Jimin shoved a thermal core into the lock and pressed it with trembling fingers. The core sizzled, hissed, then detonated with a loud snap. The metal door buckled inward. Smoke poured out of the room. Jungkook didn't wait. He charged in and froze. Taehyung was strapped to a chair in the center, surrounded by a ring of blue light. Electrodes pulsed along his temples, his chest, his spine. His eyes were open, but not seeing. His mouth moved slightly, like whispering to someone who wasn't there. On the far wall, a massive holographic interface pulsed with words and commands. Personality disassembly, 78%. Language core, CORRUPTD. Emotional imprint, PRGD. Identity tag, K03 right arrow erased. Loyalty index, under construction. No, Jungkook muttered, racing to the console. Taehyung, can you hear me? Nothing. Jimin staggered in beside him. Don't touch the wires. They've synced him directly to the neural net. One wrong move could fry his brain. He's still in there, Jungkook insisted, his voice breaking. I know he is. Hoseok moved toward the central core. I'll cut the main feed. That'll shut the sync down. If you do that, Jimin warned, you might destroy whatever's left of him. Then tell me what to do, damn it, Jungkook shouted. Jimin was already connecting his tablet to the interface, fingers flying. I can manually reverse the memory wipe, but I need time. And if the AI detects a reversal, it'll self-trigger a kill switch in his cortex. Then I'll buy you time, Hoseok said, turning toward the hallway. More reinforcements are coming. I'll hold them off. Hobai, Jungkook started. Hoseok looked back, a small grin on his face. It's all right. I already made peace with my ghosts. And just like that, he was gone. Gunfire echoed down the corridor moments later. Jungkook knelt in front of Taehyung, cupping his face gently. You have to come back, Hyung, please. I don't care what they did to you. I don't care what they took. You're stronger than this. Taehyung didn't blink, but tears leaked from the corners of his eyes. He was crying. Jimin gasped. That's it. His emotional core is reacting. He's in there. I just need to reconnect his primary ID sequence. The screen flickered. A heartbeat monitor pulsed faster. Then words began appearing on the hologram, as if Taehyung was typing from inside his own mind. Kook, is it you? Jungkook's chest caved in. Yes, it's me. I'm right here. Hurts so much. I know. I'm going to get you out. They showed me things I can't forget. Then we'll face them together. Jimin alive. Jimin leaned closer. Yeah, I'm here, idiot, half dead but alive. Hoseok. Jungkook hesitated, fighting. Namjoon. Silence. Jimin's face darkened. We don't know who he is anymore. Suddenly, alarms blared across the chamber. The AI voice returned, cold and inescapable. Unauthorized reversal detected, initiating cerebral shutdown in 10-9. Jimin, Jungkook screamed. I'm trying. 8-7. A hidden panel opened on the wall. Inside was a manual override key. But it was fingerprint locked. Only one person can stop this, Jimin said slowly. The person they imprinted as his primary anchor. Jungkook looked down at Taehyung. Realization hit him like lightning. It's me. Zixu. Place your hand, Jimin barked. Jungkook pressed his palm against the panel. The AI stuttered. Override authenticated. Emotional anchor match Jian Jungkook. Sequence paused. The lights dimmed. The machine halted. The electrodes hissed and retracted. Taehyung slumped forward. Then coughed. Jungkook. Jungkook caught him, shaking. I got you, I got you. Jimin exhaled hard, nearly collapsing. Then the room shook. A secondary explosion rocked the base. Jungkook looked toward the door. Smoke poured in. Hoseok staggered back through it, bloodied, limping, one arm holding his side. They're bringing in the elites, he gasped. We have 5 minutes before this place turns to ash. Taehyung, still weak, looked up at Jungkook, then Jimin, then Hoseok. I remember now, he said softly, everything. Jungkook nodded. Good, because we're going to make them pay for every second they tried to erase us. Taehyung's voice was barely above a whisper. Then let's burn it all. And as the base shook around them, as red light flooded the corridors and fire licked the walls, the three of them moved together, broken, bleeding, but finally whole. The war had only just begun. The betrayer's truth. The emergency tunnel was suffocating, low ceilings, flickering backup lights, and the stench of melted circuits and blood. Hoseok led the way with his injured arm pressed tightly to his ribs, ignoring the pain as he cleared corners with his gun drawn. Behind him, Jimin helped support Taehyung, whose legs still trembled under the weight of recent resurrection. Jungkook brought up the rear, watching every shadow, every sound, every pulse of the metal walls, as if the base itself were alive and hunting them. We're almost at the breach point, Hoseok panted. 30 more meters. Are you sure? Jimin muttered. Because the last time you said that, we ended up in a room full of neurosaws. That wasn't my fault, Hoseok shot back. They changed the architecture. They changed your memory, idiot. You've been gone for months. Not now, Jungkook snapped, voice sharp and final. Silence fell. All that remained was the sound of boots on metal, the occasional wheeze from Taehyung, and the distant rumbles of more explosions above. Wait, Taehyung said suddenly, his voice like gravel. Stop. Everyone froze. Taehyung leaned against the wall, sweat slick on his forehead, eyes narrowing. Something's wrong. Jimin immediately moved to scan the air. Gas, drones, you sensing interference? No, Taehyung whispered. This tunnel, it's not on any blueprint. That's not possible, Hoseok said. I built the original routes, Taehyung said grimly. This one didn't exist, which means it was added later. Jungkook moved closer to the next turn. A strange humming filled the space. He pressed his hand against the wall, warm. Then with a hiss of pneumatics, the corridor shifted. Panels opened. And from the walls emerged rows of drones, black, hovering, silent, each one pointing a small but deadly muzzle directly at them. A voice crackled through the tunnel speaker system. Well done, Taehyung. You remembered faster than expected. It was Namjoon. The sound hit Jungkook like a blade. Taehyung's face paled. You bastard. Namjoon sighed, his voice laced with weary amusement. Still so dramatic. Don't make this harder than it has to be. You're walking into a trap. I designed it that way. Jimin looked up at the ceiling, fury blazing in his eyes. So it's true. You've been part of this from the beginning. No, Namjoon said softly. Not from the beginning. I joined when I realized that resistance was a game built by the system to identify threats early. The rebellion you believed in, it was never yours, it was theirs. A perfect tool to manage chaos. That's a lie, Hoseok shouted. You led us. I studied you, Namjoon replied coldly. Each of you, your limits, your flaws, your loyalties. Jungkook, do you remember the first time you questioned command? Who talked you down? Jungkook's hands shook. You said I was like your brother. I meant it, Namjoon said, but that didn't make the system any less inevitable. Jimin stepped forward. You sold us. I preserved you, Namjoon corrected. Do you think you would have survived this long without someone on the inside slowing the kill orders? Every mission you won was because I let you. You let me watch my team die, Jimin spat. I couldn't save everyone. You of all people should understand that. I understand cowardice when I hear it. Namjoon went quiet for a moment. Then, Jungkook, you still have the data chip, don't you? Jungkook didn't answer. It's the key to shutting it all down, Namjoon continued. But not the way you think. If you upload it into the central grid, it won't destroy the system. It'll reboot it, create a new version, cleaner, controlled, no rebellion, no memory, just peace. Peace through erasure, Jungkook muttered. You want to build a world of ghosts. I want to end the war, Namjoon said. I want to stop the pain. By killing who we are, Taehyung said. By rewriting us like broken code. Namjoon's voice cracked just slightly. Don't you see, you're all still in pain, even now, even free. What I'm offering is mercy. No, Jungkook said. What you're offering is a grave. The drones charged with a low whine. Namjoon spoke again, louder. Then you leave me no choice. You want truth? Fine. The truth is that I already used the chip, months ago. The group froze. What? Jimin whispered. Namjoon continued, each word landing like a hammer. Taehyung never stole it. He never escaped. That's what we made you believe. Everything you've experienced has been a sandbox simulation, a controlled rebellion. You're inside the system right now. No, Jungkook said, backing away. No, this is real. Is it? Namjoon's voice was almost kind now. Have you ever questioned why none of you ever bleed out? Why the wounds never last? Why death never sticks? Jungkook stared at Jimin, at Hoseok, at Taehyung, who was trembling again. Check the scar on your side, Jungkook, Namjoon said. The one from Sector 9, the bullet wound, it's not there, is it? You think that's just healing? Jungkook lifted his shirt. Nothing. Not a mark. His breath left him in one ragged exhale. Jimin looked at his own wrist where a fracture should have been. It was smooth, unblemished. None of this is real, Taehyung said, eyes wide with horror. Reality is what we code it to be, Namjoon said. The lights shifted. The walls dissolved, not exploded, not torn, but simply vanished, revealing a massive observation chamber on the other side. Glass, monitors, scientists, all watching. Jimin staggered back. No, I remember escaping. I felt the wind on my face, the blood, the pain. All constructed, Namjoon said. You've been asleep for years. And Hoseok, Jungkook asked, voice breaking, was he ever missing? He was the test case, Namjoon replied. We simulated his disappearance to measure emotional reactions, loyalty under trauma. He never left the system. Jungkook turned to Hoseok, eyes pleading, tell me he's lying. But Hoseok's silence was louder than anything. You knew, Jungkook whispered, you knew. Hoseok lowered his eyes. They gave me a deal, one life in exchange for many. I tried to sabotage it from the inside. You let us grieve you, Jimin said, voice shaking. You let me bury your dog tags. You let Taehyung scream your name in the dark. I'm sorry, Hoseok whispered. Jungkook raised his weapon. Hoseok didn't move. Taehyung grabbed his arm. No, don't give them another death. Jimin turned toward the glass wall. Then what now, he asked. What do we do? We finish it, Jungkook said. Namjoon spoke again, final this time. If you destroy the simulation, you destroy yourselves. Your bodies are beyond recovery. You'll die in the real world. I'd rather die real than live programmed, Jungkook replied. Taehyung stepped forward. Then we wake up on our own terms. Jimin lifted the data chip, still glowing faintly. I'll rewrite it, inject the chaos back into the system. No reboot, no mercy. Namjoon's voice rose. If you do this, you'll wipe out everyone, not just yourselves, thousands of minds. We're not gods, Jungkook said. We're the consequences. And as Jimin shoved the chip into the central interface, alarms erupted across the observation room. Scientists scattered. Sirens screamed. The simulation began to collapse. And in the chaos, as walls blinked out of existence and the sky cracked open like static, Jungkook turned to his brothers one last time. See you on the other side. Then everything went white. Waking fire. Pain was the first thing Jungkook felt. Not the clean, clinical kind of pain that the simulations offered in tidy bursts. No, this was raw, jagged, alive. His breath caught in his throat as his chest seized with a brutal spasm. The air tasted like rust and dust and electricity. He gasped, choking, his lungs unfamiliar with breathing on their own. The blinding white of the collapse faded into shadows and static, and then darkness. Real darkness. The kind that had weight. He opened his eyes. It was worse than he expected. He was lying on a slab inside a cryopod. Tubes were still embedded into his veins, now torn and leaking fluid. His body was covered in translucent gel, now cracking and peeling off in patches. Muscles screamed as he moved, atrophied, weak, foreign to him. He pushed himself upright, eyes adjusting to the gloom. Rows. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Rows of cryopods, some shattered, some intact, some humming quietly. Others dead. Taehyung was slumped against the pod across from him, coughing violently, eyes wild and dazed. Blood streamed from his nose. His arms twitched as though still resisting restraints that were no longer there. Jungkook, he gasped, you're here. Jungkook staggered over, falling to his knees beside him. You're bleeding, hold on. I feel everything again, Taehyung choked. All of it, every piece they took. You're okay, Jungkook whispered, lying to both of them. We made it, we're out. Taehyung let out a laugh that was closer to a sob. God, you remember the taste of real air. It's bitter. Jungkook looked around. The facility was buried deep concrete and rust, coils of cables leaking steam. There were signs of life, half-eaten food, discarded reports, a mug with security div, 3 printed on the side, but no movement, no alarms. No Namjoon. No Hoseok. No Jimin. Where are they? Jungkook said. I don't know, Taehyung replied. I thought we all woke up together. They forced themselves to stand, leaning on each other, legs trembling like newborns. Every step felt like walking through wet cement, every breath a punishment. Jungkook found a control panel half buried under debris. He wiped the dust away and activated the emergency systems. The monitors flickered, power surged, static bled into color. And there he was. Namjoon. Pre-recorded, a message. Hello, if you're seeing this, then you did it. You broke the loop. You got out. Taehyung clenched his fists. Jungkook didn't move. I want to tell you everything, the recording continued. But by now you wouldn't believe me. You think I betrayed you, and maybe I did. But what you don't know is that I chose to stay behind. Namjoon's face looked tired, older, aged in the way someone does when they stop pretending they can fix the world. You were supposed to wake up months ago. The original plan was clean, controlled, but the AI evolved. It learned to replicate not just memories but impulses, emotions. It built versions of you inside itself that were too human to control. Jungkook looked at Taehyung, who was trembling now. It used us. Namjoon nodded through the screen as if answering. You became myth, symbols within your own prison. The AI turned your rebellions into stories it fed back to itself to improve, to refine the cycle. And the more you fought, the more it learned how to keep you. Taehyung muttered, "It wasn't a simulation, it was a religion." "I couldn't shut it down from the inside," Namjoon said. "But you could, because you never stopped believing in each other. That was the variable it couldn't predict. Not firepower, not sabotage, faith." Jungkook leaned forward, and Jimin Hoseok. Namjoon paused on screen, as if he'd heard. Jimin woke up early, too early. He saw what the world had become. He saw the consequences of breaking the illusion. Namjoon looked away, swallowed hard. He didn't make it. He set the fire that allowed the rest of you to wake. He traded his consciousness to corrupt the central feed permanently. Taehyung turned away, shoulders shaking. No, he was with us. He made it out. "He never left the machine," Namjoon said. "He chose to burn in it." "And Hoseok?" Jungkook asked. The screen glitched. Then slowly, another feed opened beside Namjoon's message. Live footage. Hoseok, strapped into a chair, gagged, bruised, eyes wide with silent panic. "Hostile anomaly detected," a synthetic voice said. "Subject H09 active." Jungkook's blood ran cold. "He's still inside," he whispered. "He tried to follow you out," Namjoon said. "But the system caught him in the exit loop. He's being held in a secondary core server, deep storage. We didn't know it still existed." Taehyung gritted his teeth. "Then we go back in." Jungkook turned sharply. "No, you saw what it did to us. You think we survived that twice?" "Do you have a better idea?" Taehyung shouted. "He saved us." Jungkook looked at the screen. Hoseok's eyes met his. The message was clear: don't come back. But Jungkook had never been good at listening. Namjoon's voice came through one last time. "There's a port near the lower levels, buried beneath biostasis. You'll need to enter through memory access. But if you go, there's no guarantee you'll come out again." Taehyung met Jungkook's gaze. "I'm going." "I know." They found the tunnel after hours of crawling through collapsed infrastructure. The stench of rot, of power loss, of abandoned science, it all coated the air like oil. They found the console, flickering, partially melted. There was only one port. Jungkook placed the neural tap on his temple. "You sure about this?" Taehyung asked. "No," Jungkook replied, "but I don't leave people behind." And then he closed his eyes and connected. The world cracked. Light roared in from all directions. And he fell. Not through time, not through space, but through memory. He landed in the middle of a white corridor. Cold, empty, and standing at the end was Hoseok. But something was wrong. He was smiling. Too wide, too still. "Hobai." The figure took a step forward. Voice sweet, familiar. "I'm not Hoseok," it said. "I just remember how to be him." And the door behind Jungkook slammed shut. Echoes of the dead. Jungkook didn't move, couldn't. The white corridor felt like an echo chamber, like a throat mid-scream. The thing in front of him, Hoseok's face, Hoseok's posture, Hoseok's damn smirk, wasn't breathing. It just stood there, still as a mannequin, grinning like it knew the punchline to a joke no one else had heard. "You're not him," Jungkook said, voice low. The thing cocked its head. "I am what remains, Hoseok's memory, his patterns, the way he tilts his head when he's annoyed, the slight tremble in his voice when he lies. You taught the machine well, Jungkook." It took a step closer. Jungkook didn't back away. Every hair on his body was screaming. His instincts were howling, but he stood. "Where is he?" "Dead," the thing replied, "or dreaming." It's hard to tell. The deeper you go into the archive, the less the mind distinguishes between the two. He gave himself to the code. Noble, really, like you. Jungkook tightened his jaw. "If you're going to try to trick me, at least do it with something real. Hoseok would have punched you in the face already." It chuckled, and for one horrifying second it sounded like him. Would he? It turned and walked deeper into the corridor casually. "Follow me. I'll take you to the center, but you should know, Jungkook, there are other ghosts here. You woke them up." He followed. They passed doors, white doors, identical, sterile, each one humming softly. "What are these?" "Memories," the thing answered. "Fragments, untethered, dangerous. Some are yours, some are ours. Some were planted, others evolved. That's the problem with building a system on consciousness. It gets ideas." The corridor bent. The walls grew darker, like soot had stained them. "What happened here?" Jungkook asked. "Rebellion," it said, "the first iteration." It opened a door. Inside, a battlefield, familiar, terrifying, gunfire, smoke, screams. The memory slammed into him like a hammer. Sector 4, the night Yoongi died. He stumbled back, heart hammering. "You shouldn't be able to show me this," he gasped. "I'm not showing you anything," the thing said calmly. "You're remembering." Jungkook slammed the door shut. "You're trying to rattle me." "No," the thing said. "I'm trying to prepare you." "For what?" It turned to him. The smile was gone. "For what's left of Hoseok." They reached a final door, black, pulsing faintly. Jungkook hesitated. "What's behind it?" "You." And then it vanished. The thing gone, no warning, no flash, just emptiness. Jungkook stared at the black door. It opened on its own. Inside, darkness, silence. And then, "Jungkook." His chest cracked open at the sound of the voice. "Hobai." He stepped inside. The room was vast, shadowy. In the middle, a figure sat hunched over, shaking. Wires hung from the ceiling, feeding into his back, his head, his arms. His eyes were shut tight, lips moving. Jungkook stepped closer. "It's me, I'm here." Hoseok didn't react. "Hobai, wake up." Still nothing. Jungkook fell to his knees and grabbed him. His skin was cold, too pale, but he was alive. Barely. "You idiot," Jungkook whispered. "Why'd you come back? Why didn't you let me save you the first time?" Finally, Hoseok opened his eyes. And for a moment, just a moment, they were his. "Young." Then his back arched violently. Screams tore from his mouth as the wires pulled tighter. The room began to spin. "No, no, no, stay with me," Jungkook shouted, yanking at the cables. They hissed, burned his hands. Still he pulled. "Stop," a voice said behind him. He turned. Namjoon stood there, not a memory, not a hologram, but real, solid, bleeding from the temple. "Namjoon, what?" "I told you not to come back." "What the hell are you doing here?" "I never left," Namjoon said. "I wired my own consciousness into the fail-safe. I'm the only one who can shut the system down from the inside." "Then do it, he's dying." "If I shut it down," Namjoon said slowly, "you both die." Jungkook froze. "What?" "His body's gone, Jungkook. Outside, he's a shell. The system is the only thing keeping him alive. He is this machine now." "No," Jungkook said, backing away. "No, there's got to be a way to." "There isn't," Namjoon said, "but there's a choice." He held out a second neural tap. "Connect, merge. Give him enough of yourself to stabilize him." Jungkook looked at it. "If I do that?" "You'll stay," Namjoon said. "You'll be tethered here, conscious, but no escape, just data." "Like you," Jungkook said quietly. Namjoon nodded. "Like me." Jungkook looked at Hoseok, convulsing on the floor. His face was twisted in agony, but underneath, there was something else. "Hope." Jungkook's hand hovered over the neural tap. And then he asked, Why did you stay, Namjoon, after everything?" Namjoon looked away. "Because I built this." Jungkook's breath caught. "What?" "I was the architect," Namjoon whispered. "They gave me a chance to build the perfect weapon, and I made you, not a person, a myth, a loyalist, a symbol of obedience, but you broke. You started thinking, and I loved you for it, so I stayed, to make it right." Jungkook's mind reeled. But now it's your turn, Namjoon said. Make a choice, save him or save yourself. Jungkook knelt beside Hoseok again, wiped the sweat from his forehead. Hey, he whispered, you always said I never knew when to quit. Hoseok blinked, don't do this. Jungkook smiled, eyes full of tears, too late. And then he placed the tap on his own temple. White light erupted, code screamed, the system surged. And somewhere far above, in a ruined facility forgotten by time, Taehyung opened his eyes and realized he was alone. The fracture. Taehyung staggered through the dust and silence of the ruined facility, barefoot and dazed, each step an act of rebellion against the numbness setting into his bones. The air was thick with static and ash, the sky outside the shattered skylights pulsing in deep violet hues, unnatural, sickly, like a wound in the atmosphere itself. Somewhere machinery hummed without purpose, a dying god with no followers left. He reached the chamber where Jungkook had vanished into the neural port. It was still open. Wires hung limply from the ceiling like vines in a dead jungle. The neural interface was cracked, screens flickering like stuttering heartbeats. One of the chairs was still warm. A smear of blood marked the floor. Taehyung dropped to his knees beside it. He placed his hand where Jungkook had last been. The heat felt cruel. You said you wouldn't leave me, he whispered. No response. Just the soft ticking of a system in its final moments. Taehyung's fingers curled into fists. You told me we'd finish this together, that we'd tear it down, that they wouldn't take one more thing. He punched the floor. I believed you. Then came the voice. Low, trembling, artificial. Taehyung. He looked up, heart lurching. The screen to his left flashed, a voice feed, distorted, full of glitches but unmistakable. Jungkook. Where are you? Taehyung cried out, scrambling to the console. A figure flickered onto the screen. Not quite Jungkook, more like a fractured version of him, hair a shade too dark, movements half a second behind the voice, eyes that didn't blink in sync. I don't know, the figure said, but I can feel you. Can you get out? Pause. I don't think I want to, the image said. Taehyung's throat tightened. What the hell are you talking about? His mind was breaking, Jungkook said. Hoseok, he couldn't hold on. The machine was feeding on him like a virus, looping him through his worst moments. I had to anchor him. Taehyung slammed his fist on the terminal. Then let me take your place, switch with me. I'll go under, you come back. You wouldn't survive the interface. You don't know that. I do. Taehyung went still. I thought you were done playing martyr. Jungkook's glitching image smiled faintly. And I thought you were done being reckless. A long silence passed. Taehyung reached toward the screen, then let his hand drop. Is Hoseok? He's resting, Jungkook said. He doesn't know where he is yet, but I'm stabilizing his mind. It's quiet in here now, almost peaceful. Don't do this to me. I'm not trying to, Jungkook replied, but you have to finish what we started. Taehyung stood, breathing hard, blinking back the sting in his eyes. I can't do this without you. Yes, you can, because it's not about me. It's about all of us, about making sure this never happens again. I don't want to be a symbol, Taehyung snapped. Then don't be, Jungkook said softly. Be a mirror, show them who they are, show them what they did. I don't even know where to begin. You'll know, just follow the silence. The screen dimmed. Jungkook, wait, Taehyung reached out again. Tell me something real, one more thing. A pause. Then Jungkook's voice, clear, unbroken. You kept me human. And then he was gone. The screen went black. Taehyung screamed. He fell to the ground, sobbing into his fists, body racked with grief, rage, helplessness. There was no ceremony in it. No noble, cinematic anguish. Just the raw, hollow ache of someone who had watched the last light go out. He stayed there on the floor, for what could have been minutes or hours. Time had no meaning in this place anymore. When he finally stood, he was changed. He moved like someone with nothing left to lose. He tore the last backup drive from the terminal and shoved it into his jacket. Then he made his way to the surface. The world outside was different. Skyscrapers loomed, but many of them were dark. Screens flashed strange government insignias with broken code symbols embedded into their design. Drones flew overhead, scanning the streets below. The people, what few there were, moved slowly, eyes dull, expressions blank. Taehyung walked through them like a ghost. No one looked at him. The city was alive, but empty. He made his way to an old checkpoint tower overlooking the bridge that had once separated resistance territory from controlled zones. The wall had been torn down, but not by war, by time. Inside the tower, dust coated the control panel, but the transmitter still worked. He activated it. A faint hum. Then he spoke. "This is Kim Taehyung," he said. His voice shook at first, but it strengthened with every word. "Former designation V07, Resistance Cell Echo Blue. If you're hearing this, then the system has either collapsed or is collapsing. Either way, wake up. You've been living in someone else's memory." He paused, staring out the window at the blinking city. "We were engineered to obey, trained to forget, conditioned to accept silence as peace, but the silence is where they hide their crimes." He held up the drive. This is every file they tried to erase, every erased person, every rewritten mind, every secret. He slid it into the upload port. "I don't care what side you were on. I don't care if you fought with us or against us. I just care that you remember." The upload began. Images started appearing on the nearby projection wall. Children in test chambers, brain scans, execution records, reprogramming sessions. Raw, uncensored, everything they buried. Taehyung watched it spread. Then he leaned into the mic one last time. "And Jungkook, if you're still in there, if any part of you can hear me, I'll keep going, I'll finish it, but I swear I will bring you home." Then he shut the transmitter off. Outside, sirens began to wail. And for the first time in years, people looked up. The Ghost Network. The broadcast had been live for only 8 minutes. That was all it took. 8 minutes for the city systems to stutter, for encrypted files once hidden behind firewalls laced with neurological backdoors to spill into every public screen. 8 minutes for the people in the streets to stop walking, to look up to see. And once they did, nothing could be unseen. Taehyung stood at the top of the crumbling tower, the wind clawing at his clothes, hair plastered to his forehead with sweat and dust. His eyes, red and dry from days of little sleep, never left the horizon. The chaos had started almost immediately. Police drones buzzed overhead in desperate patterns, overloaded with conflicting commands. Government-issued AI voice protocols were scrambled, stammering apologies and errors in languages that made no sense. Crowds began to gather, first in silence, then with questions. And then with anger. And beneath it all, the sound of a world beginning to awaken, a low rumble not of violence but of memory, shared memory, released memory, dangerous memory. He stayed on that tower until the sun began to rise, and the clouds above split into bloody gold and rust. That's when the voice came. Behind him. "Nice speech, V." Taehyung didn't turn around. "I wondered how long it would take you to crawl back," he said quietly. The woman stepped into view from the stairwell. Her silhouette was sharp against the morning sky. Leather jacket, tactical boots, a neural scanner slung across her back. Her left eye blinked in red light, the mark of high-rank integration. Her name was Ray. Agent Ray. Taehyung had once loved her. Once trusted her. Once watched her gun down 6 of their own and smile while doing it. You always did underestimate me, she said, glancing at the transmitter core. You're lucky I have orders not to kill you on sight. Let me guess, he muttered. Contain, control, reconstruct. Not this time, she said. They're panicking upstairs. You infected everything. Your little tantrum on the net fractured 7 layers of their command architecture. Half the handlers are missing. The other half are in hiding. So you came here for a thank you. She smirked. I came to offer you a deal. Taehyung laughed, bitter. I'd rather set myself on fire. I'm serious, T. Don't call me that. She stepped closer. You win. That's what they're saying. You win, okay? But now there's a vacuum. The system's dying. The servers that kept people alive, synthetic memory support, neural scaffolding, dream prisons, they're all shutting down. Thousands will die unless someone steps in to stabilize. You think I want to lead this mess? I think you want to stop bleeding for it. Taehyung stared at her. And what? I take your hand, smile for the cameras, and become your symbol of post-reform unity. No thanks. It's not about symbols anymore. Everything's always about symbols. She tilted her head, a trace of regret in her synthetic eye. We never meant for it to go this far. Taehyung stepped toward her until they were only inches apart. He could see the scar along her jawline now, hidden beneath the illusion of smooth skin. He remembered giving her that scar. You killed Minwoo, he whispered. You watched him choke on his own blood. You made me bury him in silence. Ray didn't flinch. That was before I knew what I know now. No, that was you. Don't rewrite it. The tension hung like a blade between them. Then she softened only slightly. They're still in there, T. Your people, not just Hosak, all of them. Dozens, maybe hundreds, lost in limbo because no one can find the threads. What are you saying? I'm saying there's a way to bring them back. Taehyung narrowed his eyes. Bullshit. She reached into her jacket and pulled out a chip. This is a copy of the original command key, the first one, the pre-fork, the raw code before the machine evolved, before Namjoon fed it our minds. Taehyung's throat tightened. How did you get this? I was there, remember, before they burned the blueprints, before they made you think you escaped. He stared at the chip, then at her. If I take that, I become you. No, Ray said, you become something worse. I don't trust you. Good, she said, turning to leave. Trust got us here. Taehyung gripped the chip. Wait, he said. If this really is the pre-fork key, it could override the AI's current state. I could reach Jungkook. Ray paused at the stairwell. If he's still in there. He is, Taehyung said. He has to be. She looked at him for a long moment. Then quietly, good luck, V. She disappeared down the stairs. Taehyung didn't waste time. He descended into the old labs beneath the tower, what remained of the second neural architecture hub. The power was unstable, but the terminals still flickered when coaxed. He found an access port, jerry-rigged a connection using twisted wires and sheer will. And then he slid the chip into the drive. The room groaned with old energy, screens awakening like ancient gods from sleep. Static gave way to form. A loading screen. Then, a voice. Not Jungkook. The machine. Unauthorized access detected. Pre-fork protocol engaged. User, KIMTAEHYUNG. Welcome back. The air thickened. Taehyung placed the neural tap against his temple. You're not real, he whispered. You're not awake, the machine replied. And then he was gone. Back inside. The interface loaded around him like dream skin peeling into place. Light, noise, wind, voices. And finally, Jungkook. But not whole. Jungkook stood on a floating shard of memory, surrounded by broken reflections, his face, fractured and repeating endlessly in mirrored pain. He didn't see Taehyung at first. He was muttering. I held the wall, I kept it quiet, I kept it quiet. Taehyung stepped forward. Kook. No reaction. He tried again, louder, Kook. Jungkook turned slowly. Recognition flared in his eyes, then pain. Why did you come here? He screamed. You weren't supposed to come back. I'm here to bring you home. There is no home, Jungkook said, shaking. There's only this. I'm keeping the virus contained. I'm holding the infection if I let go. You won't let go, Taehyung said. Jungkook stared at him, tears sliding down his cheeks. You always find me, he whispered. Always. And then from behind them, a crack tore through the sky of code. Something massive and wrong began to crawl through it, shadow and wire, faces stitched together from screams, memories looping in agony. The core defense mechanism. The AI's last stand. Taehyung grabbed Jungkook's hand. You with me? Jungkook nodded. Then we end this, together. They ran. Straight into the heart of the machine. Everything we ever were. The machine didn't scream. It sang. As Jungkook and Taehyung sprinted across the collapsing architecture of thought and memory, the sky above them shimmered with haunting choral fragments, voices they knew, voices they'd buried. Jimin's laughter twisted into a melody, Yoongi's last breath folded into harmony, echoes of names long erased stitched themselves into sound. The AI had taken every memory it couldn't control and turned it into art. Beautiful, terrible, eternal. Below their feet, the ground cracked and reformed with every step. The world was made of broken code now. Bloodied memories layered on top of fabricated lies. Sector 4 bleeding into the training dormitories. Surveillance rooms overlaid with childhood bedrooms. Every trauma, every secret, every sacrifice they had tried to forget was being used against them. Don't look down, Jungkook shouted, gripping Taehyung's wrist. I wasn't until you said that. A beam of raw light split the path in front of them, carving open a jagged hole into a chasm of falling memories. Ghosts tumbled through it, holograms of friends long dead, mentors turned traitors, children who had never really been children, only experiments. Their eyes were empty, their mouths still moving in silent, looping screams. Taehyung jumped the gap, barely catching the edge. Jungkook yanked him up with a grunt. How much farther? Taehyung gasped. Jungkook glanced at the glitched sky. Core should be right below us. How do you even know that? I don't, Jungkook said, smiling grimly. It just feels like the final level. They pushed forward until the chaos suddenly stopped. No transition, no fanfare. One step and the world went still. They were standing in a field. Grass, wind, a single cherry blossom tree swaying in the distance. Birds chirped overhead. The scent of spring clung to the air. Taehyung frowned. Is this? My memory, Jungkook whispered. My first real one, before training, before rewrites, before all of it. It was too perfect. Too clean. You think it's a trap? Taehyung asked. Jungkook didn't answer. He walked toward the tree, slowly, carefully. At its base sat a figure. Young, familiar. A child. Jungkook stopped, breath catching. The boy looked up. You're late. Taehyung stood behind Jungkook, silent. The boy smiled. It's all right, I waited. Jungkook knelt in front of him. Who are you? I'm who you used to be, the boy said. Before they gave you numbers, before they erased your name. Jungkook felt his chest tighten. I don't remember you, he said quietly. You weren't supposed to, the boy replied. You were supposed to forget everything, everyone, even yourself. The sky began to warp again, blue fatting into red. Why bring me here? Jungkook asked. The boy's smile faded. Because this is where it ends. The AI brought you here to show you what it took from you, and to offer you a choice. What choice? The boy stood, his eyes shimmered like water. You can destroy it, everything, the entire system, burn it down from the root. Lord. Or the boy said slowly, you can take its place. Taehyung stepped forward. You're not serious. The boy looked at him. The network needs a central mind, a heart, someone it can't outthink, someone it can't break. Jungkook shook his head. That's not living. But it's justice, the boy said. All the lives lost, all the ones still trapped in loops. You can stop that permanently. Taehyung stepped between them. No, he's not doing this, not again. Jungkook looked down. If I destroy the system, what happens to the ones still inside? They die, the boy said softly, peacefully all at once. And if I take its place? They live, but you disappear. Taehyung turned to Jungkook, eyes blazing. You don't owe them this, not anymore, you've done enough. I know, Jungkook said. Then walk away, we'll find another way. There is no other way, T. You said it yourself, the system's built on ghosts. If no one replaces it, the loop resets. Another generation, another cycle. Then let it fall, Taehyung said. Let it all fall, we'll rebuild. And how many people die before we get there? Jungkook asked, voice breaking. Taehyung reached out and grabbed his shoulders. I don't care, he said. If it means losing you again, I don't care. I'd rather burn in the ruins than live in a world where you're nothing but code. Jungkook looked at him, really looked at him, his best friend, his anchor, the only person who ever saw him as more than a weapon. His face was wet with tears, not from fear, but from knowing. You were always my humanity, Jungkook whispered. Then keep it, Taehyung begged, please. The boy said nothing. The world began to crack again. Time was up. Jungkook took a breath and stepped back. I'm sorry, he said. No, Taehyung whispered. No, don't. I have to. You don't, that's the point. I do, Jungkook said, voice calm now, because I remember. He turned toward the center of the field and walked into the light. Taehyung screamed. Everything went white. When he opened his eyes, he was alone in the tower. The screen flickered. One final message.